my guest this week is Fay Vale, and she's been on the radio show ADX Files. It's number 63, and you can get that on Mixcloud. You just put in mixcloud.com/Alison-Dunlop. And as I say, you may remember that Fay produces Galactic Art, which is inspired by interplanetary energies and guidance from the universe, which she describes as extraterrestrial in nature. These messages come from other planets and other dimensions. So because, as I say, I've been doing a couple of shows with artists, I thought I would invite Fay back so that we can show her amazing artwork. Now, I told you about this, Fay, but I'll just go ahead and repeat it, that after talking to you the last time, you gave me the idea to try using my left hand for automatic writing and drawing. And my left hand seemed to be able to do much better than my right hand. It could even correct mistakes that the right hand made. And but I felt like the thoughts were coming from me. And I don't know if that had anything to do with making a connection with the right hand side of the brain, you know, the creative side. I don't know what you think about that. Have you got any particular thoughts on that?
Well, when my art first came through, then it was left-handed, and I'm a right-handed person.
Me too. Yeah.
And for a start, it was like a 2-year-old scribble.
Right.
But the way I got it was that your dominant hand is ruled by your brain. So if you said to me, draw a flower, and I drew a flower, but it didn't look quite right, my brain kicks in and says, no, that doesn't look right. So I'd probably rule it out or try and alter it in some way, which is definitely what I don't need to do with doing the ET drawings, because my perspective on life here cannot interfere with the clear lines and the clear messages that I'm getting. And I did have a message at one time which said, only put down what you're given. So to have it through the left-hand side gave me a clear channel, because my brain doesn't have the control of the right. So many people who have a go at drawing with their opposite hand find the control isn't so dominant. But your brain can still kick in, but it's not so easy to alter. So the secret is just to hold the pen and let it go. And whether it's a scribble or something that you recognize, just keep going with it, going with it, going with it. And eventually you do get some sort of image. Well, the first image I got that I recognized was a fish. But that came after about 3 or 4 weeks of just scribbling, and then all of a sudden an image came, and then it just carried on from there. So it's about letting go of what you think and going with what comes, and it's very therapeutic and healing as well.
I imagine it would be. And you also mentioned that your psychic awareness increased after your UFO experience. Again, I wondered if those two things happened because the right hand side of the brain was somehow activated, triggered by that.
Yeah, well, at the time I was in my early 20s, and I had 2 small children, but my husband passed away at 24 with cancer. Oh. So we'd been married for 6 years, because we got married quite young, but he was the love of my life. Oh. And we had 2 small boys at the time, and I was nursing him at home, because I didn't want him to go somewhere and be looked after by people he didn't know. No disrespect to nursing agencies and everything, but he needed to be with his family. So it was very, very busy at the time. And this particular night, he'd gone to bed before he was really ill. He was ill, but before the end, he'd gone to bed and I'd gone to put a milk bottle on the step. It was 12 o'clock at night because we'd had friends round till gone 11. And we had a milkman at the time who collected the milk, put the milk out and collected the bottles. And as I bent down to put the bottle on the step, I heard a loud humming noise, which just went, which made me look up because we lived opposite a golf course. So there was just land in front, and it used to be pitch black at night, and all the neighbours had gone to bed. When I looked up, there was a bright orange cigar-shaped craft, as I know as a craft at the moment now, but at the time I didn't know what it was, but it was huge. It was bright orange, and it just sat above the houses. And as it made the humming noise, it pulsated bright and dull, and it just was going like that. Well, I looked at it, and being like something strange, I just ran in and shut the door because it scared me. And I went in the house and I could still hear the humming. So thinking maybe I can look out the curtain, that also scared me because, like I say, we was opposite a golf course and I didn't know what would be there. But anyway, my curiosity got the best of me, and I went to the door again, and it was still sitting there, and I watched it for a good 5 minutes, closed the door, locked the door, went to bed. The next day I never thought any more about it. It never even came in my mind. So it was wiped straight out.
Yeah.
But following that, as my life progressed, I became more aware spiritually, and I'd see what I call spirit people or ghosts on quite a regular basis. And he never scared me because they always looked like real people.
Wow. Like solid, like real people.
Well, there is an incident. We moved because I was brought up in Leicester in the Midlands, but we moved to Lincolnshire when my mum passed away.
Right.
And to go into town shopping, you could take a shortcut, which was under a little disused railway bridge. Mm-hmm. But it was quite derelict round there, so you would go under it quickly. I was always a bit scared going under there on my own, but it was a real shortcut. Mm-hmm. So one day, it was at lunchtime, I'd done my shopping, I was going home, I thought I'll do the shortcut under the railway bridge. But because it was quite an empty area, I would always check, see if there was nobody under the bridge before I went under. So as I looked under the bridge, there's this guy coming towards me. And I remember him as clear. And he had like black flappy trousers on and a long mac. But he walked really oddly. He walked like a penguin. So his feet walked like that. Well, I waited and waited for him to come out the railway arch. Never came out. So I thought, I'll have another look. When I looked, he completely disappeared. But he could only come out. If he'd have gone back, I would have seen him going back. So anyway, in the evening, my friend rang me. And I said, something really odd happened today. I said, I saw this guy coming under the railway bridge. I said, he was really odd. I said, he walked like a penguin. So she said to me, that's Pete the Feet. And I went, who? She said, Pete the Feet. She said he was always called Pete the Feet because he walked funny.
Because of his feet.
So I said, well, who's Pete the Feet? So she said, oh, he died years ago.
Wow.
And apparently he was a local guy, but he had mental disabilities. And when his mum passed away, his brother was asked to look after him, but his brother didn't do it. So this Pete used to walk the streets and neighbours would fetch him in and give him meals. Well, I didn't know anything about him, but this guy was as plain, and I saw him coming under the tunnel, waited, never came out. But I hadn't a clue who he was, only that the clue was that he walked funny. And as soon as I said that to her, she said, "Oh no, he'll be Pete the Feet." So I said, "Well, what would he be doing down there?" She said, "Oh, he very often walked that path." So that's how evident it was. And I would see people. When my mum passed away, she'd only gone a fortnight, and I woke up in the night and she was in my bedroom. She didn't say anything. She just stood looking at me. And then she came again a week after. I just got used to seeing them, and it never bothered me. I never had anything that was mischievous or dark.
Mm-hmm.
And I just accepted it. But it was, I don't know, after the experience, I accepted a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes I'd get messages about things that were going to happen, and they'd happen. I could walk in a room and feel a presence. I could sit there and smell tobacco or perfume, and it just really heightened. But that was after that experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you said the last time we spoke that your last experience with a UFO was in 2007. Have you had any other
Well,
experiences?
this was when I was in my 20s. Then when my boys were older, 15, and the other one were just going in 14, we lived near a canal, so they'd go night fishing. Mm-hmm. So this particular time they said, "Mum, get us up at 3 in the morning, we're going night fishing." So I'd set my alarm for 2, thinking, "Oh God, I've got some time to myself in the day to do some jobs." So I got up when my alarm went at 2. Of course, I looked out the bedroom window to see what the weather was like, because they were going fishing. And as I looked out the window, there was 5 stars, but they were like, you know how the spots are on a domino, number 5, 4, and then 1 in the middle.
Yeah.
And they just sat there, and I looked, and I thought, I've never seen stars sitting like that before. And I couldn't quite believe the formation they're in. And then all of a sudden, they just started darting all over the place, tremendous speeds and ridiculous turns and angles. And that was another time I watched them for about 5 minutes, and then went and sorted the lads out. So that would have been like 15 years after my first one. In between, I got a paranormal group going because I wasn't scared of the spirits. People would used to ring up and say, "We've got a ghost, so-and-so, can you come and see if you can send him or her on, or the spirit on?" So I did that for a few years. And then in 2007, this led up to once a month, people who had paranormal groups would meet up, and then we would show either videos or audio, the evidence of what we'd picked up. So this particular night in 2007, I still lived in Lincolnshire. My friend and I went to one of these meetings where we took our things, and it was in a local village just outside where we lived. But it was in a public house, because the pub was haunted by a small child, which is why they chose to go there. So we didn't get out till 12 o'clock at night, because we were speaking to the landlady, and she was telling us about the ghosts and different stuff. So we got in the car to go back home to Boston, where we lived in Lincolnshire. And the journey's through quite a lot of dark country lanes, so there's no real bright lights. But anyway, she was driving, and we was going along the dark lane, and all of a sudden this big white owl just flew straight across our windscreen, landed in the tree at the side of me. And I said to my friend, "Do you know, I've never seen a white owl like that." I said, "It made me jump." So she said, "Yeah, it's quite unusual for around here." As I said that, there's a white light coming towards us further down the road. And you know, when it's really dark and somebody's got them on full beam, sometimes it looks like one light if it's a fair way away.
Yeah.
But as it came towards us, it came at a tremendous speed, and the nearer it got, the bigger it got, till it filled the whole road. And if that's our car, it was going like that at us. Well, it came that fast that we thought it was going to hit us. It came that close. She slammed her foot on the brake. As she did that, it just went backwards and disappeared completely.
Wow.
Well, we just sat there, and I said to her, "What was that?" She said, "I haven't got a clue."
It's quite frightening.
It was, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But so after that, it was 2 weeks before I got the urge to draw. 2 weeks later, I'm getting out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, wanting to draw, not knowing why, looking for paper and pen or paper and pencil, and just doing it. It was compulsive.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't stop doing it. I mean, I was at work at the time, and I'd be late for work sometimes because it was so intense that I'd got to do this drawing that I couldn't put it down. And sometimes I'd go to work with it and
Mm-hmm.
be doing it as soon as I got in, you know. So, yeah, it was
beautiful artwork as well. It really is. Has coronavirus had any impact on your artwork? Have you had any sort of messages coming through?
I have had
around
messages, and the biggest message is not to be fearful, because of the planet changing, and as humans, we're starting to evolve. I mean, the animals are already adapting to climate change that is already happening.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going through a massive evolution at the moment. And we've just got to go with it and be as strong as we can, and, you know, welcome the change, because the change is going to help us tremendously to deal with whatever comes next. Mm-hmm. This is why so many people are interested in saving the planet and doing getting the plastic out the sea and being more aware of pollution and everything, because we're all being put in that position where we know that we're destroying our very environment, and we've got to start getting some control back and realise that we have to work with nature, not against it.
Yeah. As soon as you mentioned animals there, one of my cats woke up and started meowing and come up and
oh, bless, I love cats.
He knows he's very clever.
Oh, cats always are. They're beautiful animals.
Yeah, I have to say I agree with that.
Yeah.
So can these beings, if they're keeping an eye on Earth during this time, can they not intervene in any way to help us?
Well, they are, because as we're evolving, more and more people are changing their thoughts of how shall I say, we've been held down or we've been controlled. And it's time that we took control. We've got so many gifts, as you know, being a spiritual person, we have so many gifts, but unfortunately, we get told otherwise. And I always say, when we're born, we're barcoded. As soon as we're born, we're told what sex we are, we're given a name, we're told this is your mother, this is your father, this is where you live, you go to school, you get a job, you probably have a family. And it's not bad. I mean, I've got children, I've been married, I'm married now, and I've had wonderful times. So it's what you make out of it.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, we have to start realizing how amazing that we really are, and start using our gifts. And this new coming, this new change in us, is allowing us to seek that. And I do believe the coronavirus and the lockdown came for that reason. Many people who were confined in home for weeks and some months, they've rediscovered themselves. They've found out who their children are. They've realised, you know, what's the important things in life. And it's been a big, big lesson, you know. So I do think
there's been a sense
coronavirus,
more of a sense of community.
Yeah,
I've found, even like within this building, you
that's
know,
right.
we've had neighbours coming to the door and saying, if you need anything, let us know. And it's like, that would never have happened before, you know. So that's, I think, been part of all this.
It's because we was all in it together. It's the same as when the wars happened. I mean, but it's the same as when the wars happened. It brings people together, and you know, there's fighting all over the world, and this is mine and that's yours, and we've got this and you can't have that. And yet, as soon as there's a big disaster, that's all forgotten, and help comes from everywhere to you know, get things back in perspective and help people. So, you know, this is where we need to be again. This is where we need to progress. You know?
I saw that Mary Rodwell wrote the foreword for your book, and now just give me a wee minute here. She said that she's seen many cases where creative expression unfolds with an individual after an encounter. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I know several people who do drawings, but going back to when I had the encounter and I was with my friend, she got nothing.
Right.
Nothing at all happened to her.
Okay.
And a while after, I had a regression done because I wasn't sure whether I was taken on the ship, but I was. And I asked during the regression why she didn't have anything. And the answer was she was suspended in time. And that's what they said. So it's not always, if you have an encounter with other people, it doesn't always open other people up. And there's always there's always the person who sees something but don't believe it.
That's right. What did your friend think of the whole thing? What did
she thought it was a big joke? I'd take my drawings into her and she'd laugh at them. She thought it was just a big joke. She never took it seriously at all.
Even although she'd had to slam on the brakes and this light had zapped away.
She just passed it off as something that happened to us, and okay, can't explain it, but I'm not really bothered. It was really weird.
That is weird, isn't it? And do you know, it's not the only time that I've heard it, and usually it's two people, quite often two people in a car.
That's right.
Yeah, and one of them seems to have had a more profound experience in some way than the other person. That's quite strange. I think that's.
I never know whether. Well, for years and years, I thought it was because I never had further education. I left school when I was 15 because my mum had 4 of us, and we had to go to work to bring money into the house because we weren't a wealthy family. And I used to think, well, maybe it's because I'm sort of a virgin subject. So I've had no further education. So my mind doesn't click in and say, well, this should be this and this should be that, because I've not had that education to bring that forward. But then the funny thing this is amazing, when my book came out, my first husband's brother, who moved to Australia years and years ago, we email every now and again. But I brought my book out and I sent him a copy, and I said, you may not understand this, but I've published a book, said, and I'd like you to read it. So email back, thanks for the book, I'll have a look at it. Next thing, I get an email from him, you're not the only one who had ET experiences. And I thought, wow.
Wow.
So I messaged him back and I said, why? So he said, I have never told anybody, but my first husband who passed away and him were brothers, and they were brought up on a farm. And he said, we had experiences all the while when we were kids. He said the craft would land on the farm, he said, and we'd have the things in our bedroom. And then it clicked and I thought, well, I was married to your brother. I had 2 children by him, so there's the connection.
Wow.
So that blew me away, because all these years I have never known that. And I always thought it was because I hadn't been further education. So it was a family thing. So it's been in the family.
That's brilliant. What about your sons? What experiences have they had?
My sons are very cagey about it all.
Right.
They're very wary about talking about it. They don't like it.
Okay.
And my daughter's very spiritual and she just gets all of it.
Okay.
And she's quite receptive to spirits and that. She very often sees spirits, people, and sort of stuff I used to get.
Okay. So she's a medium as well?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Fabulous. Fabulous. How does your artwork affect you emotionally?
I just love it.
Yeah.
It can, you can decipher the energies. Some energies are very uplifting. The energies are really different. Some energies, and you can be drawing, and then all of a sudden you feel heat, and you can feel really hot, and that's a real intense energy. But usually when I get that, there's a message come with it.
Right.
And then you can get the energies which are quite just flippant, happy, like I'm here. And then there's the what I call the guest drawers, and these are just pure consciousness. They come without any image whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So when you get that, some images come as an animal. They can put what image they want to their consciousness, if you understand what I mean. Mm-hmm. It's a bit like if you'd never seen your reflection in a mirror or anywhere, you never really know what your overall image is. Mm-hmm. And this is the guest drawers. So these are energies that have no image. So they can create an image themselves. It's a bit like when a child draws and they do mommy, daddy, baby, dog or whatever. None of them ever look like they really are. Mm-hmm. But in the child's mind, that's the image that they give. And it's a similar sort of thing. So this energy will come in and it just wants to come in its own image or an image that it chooses.
Okay. Okay.
It's quite complex, but very interesting.
Yeah. Oh, very. And has that intensified over the years? You know, these.
Yeah, I mean, feelings. You can, especially as things are now, I very often get energies that don't feel right. Right. You know, as a medium, you can go in a place and you can pick up a dark energy and straight away, you know that. Yeah. And sometimes this happens when I'm drawing, and I can be drawing and I never know what the outcome is going to be, because they'll start with a dot or a squiggle or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I can be drawing, and as I get into the drawing, the energy doesn't feel right. Okay. Lots of times I would just stop and say, are you from the pure white light? Now, if I say that and it's not from the pure white light, my pen automatically scribbles all over the drawing. It just goes.
Oh, right, okay.
And then that energy will go.
Uh-huh.
But it doesn't always happen like that. Sometimes I'm doing it and I just feel the energy's wrong. And I'll just say, I'm sorry, I'm not drawing for you. And I'll immediately put my pen down, rip the paper up I'm drawing on, put it in the bin and go and wash my hands in water just to ground myself. And then I won't draw for a while.
Okay.
So like that, there is different energies, there's different beings. But when I first had the beings in my bedroom, then there was beings that frightened me, but beings that didn't frighten me.
What in what way did the beings frighten you?
Because I would wake up in the morning and I've had bruises and marks and all different things, but you don't really have a deep recollection of what's happened to you. You just know that you didn't have them when you went to bed. And I have had dreams where beings have done things to me, and it's been really scary.
Right.
And so like, sorry, it's my speaker keeps ringing.
That's all right. That's okay.
So like sometimes there was things happened to me that I didn't like. Like the thing is, on Earth, we follow animals, we put collars on and everything to try and see how they work and how they live. And it's the same thing with the ETs. A lot of them are very interested because we have lots of gifts that they don't have. Like we have emotions and they can't understand emotions at all. And so as one emotion that they really want to know about is fear. And I did have writing to say, we don't understand what fear is. What is it? Because what they were saying is, if we can overcome fear in the human, then our connection would be so much easier.
Yes, I think I believe that as well. When I've been doing hypnotherapy, or when I used to do hypnotherapy, it was for fears and phobias. It was primarily animal fears and phobias that I dealt with, and it got me thinking that really it all comes down to fear, and primarily fear of death. If you take it down to the root thing, it's usually, why are you frightened of that animal? Because it could sting you, you could have an anaphylactic shock, and you could die. And the root cause is that you're frightened of dying, not the animal itself, really. Just what it could do to you.
Well, it's the same thing with the pandemic, isn't it? The main fear is death. But when you've had experiences and you're on that, not different level, I shouldn't say that, because we are all the same, but we maybe look a bit more into the openness of things, then death isn't such a fear. And I just think that we're all here for a certain time, and when our time's up, then our time's up, regardless of whether we die of old age and illness or we get run over or whatever. Some people choose to die because they can't cope with the world, but then it doesn't matter how you die. When your time's ready to leave the earth, then you'll go anyway, so why fear it?
That's right. That's right. Strange that you said that about them not understanding emotions, because I think that was a message that Ian had as well, my husband. I'm sure that he was asked, tell me about emotions.
That's right. That's why a lot of people have frightening experiences. It's because they don't understand that we have pain, or there's no understanding there at all.
Okay.
But then there is higher beings than the ETs who come from pure love. and they work differently altogether.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Do you find that your artwork affects the people who see it?
Yeah.
In what way?
I give lots of art away because I'll have somebody and they'll message me and they'll go, do you know that piece really speaks to me? And I just post it off to them because I know it's for them and not for me.
Right.
Because some really resonate with me and I love it, you know, and I think, oh, I really love that picture. But then others don't resonate, but they'll resonate with somebody else. It's because the lines and that are encoded and they do open people up in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's there is a bit of an effect when you look at your artwork. I mean, all of it. You know, it's you can see different things in the art. You know, you can see the primary image, but you can see other things in there as well. You know.
Yeah, you
Really,
get lots of things linked together and you think you're looking at something else and then you see something entirely different.
yeah.
So
Before you did your ET art, which we'll come back to in a minute, and you can show us some of it, you drew some military art. I believe you said something about drawing some military things.
oh, this is yeah, when it first began,
Mm-hmm.
I started drawing graveyards, like, you know, people who got lost in the war and you just see all the crosses. I do drawings for them. And actually I had one and it was somewhere in Scotland where all the war graves were buried. And I didn't know about that. And it gave the dates and that. And I looked online and it was spot on. But what happened was I started drawing military things.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if I'd have been a guy and thought, you know, into all the war stuff, I would have got it. But like I say, I'm just an ordinary person, going to work, looking after my kids and doing the normal thing. And I had no interest in anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I started drawing landing sites for planes. I was drawing tanks, warships, submarines. I couldn't get what it was about.
Mm-hmm.
And then from the submarines and warships and that, it went on to drawing airfields and planes on airfields and that. And I had quite a few drawings about that, went on for quite a while. But from the aeroplanes, I started drawing rockets and rocket launches. From the rocket launches, I went on to drawing ET craft. So they took me through a journey of something I could understand, although I wasn't into that thing.
Mm-hmm.
But they took me through the journey of planes, boats, trains and things, all movement that I could understand.
Mm-hmm.
And then into present day of rockets taking off, instead of just going at me and going, "Phew, this is our craft," I'd have gone, "Wow," you know. But they led me through a journey to understand the craft and the same sort of thing, that like we build planes and rockets and they build craft.
Yeah. Do
It's
you
really
think
clever.
also it could have been this is the next stage of technology for us as well?
Oh, definitely. And I think a lot of the technology today is been brought through crashed craft and through different things that not many of us have been told about, but we all know it's going on.
Yeah, exactly. You also mentioned hybridization. Am I right in saying that the beings have said that they're trying to blend animal and human DNA with alien DNA in order to be able to live on other planets? Is that what?
Well, the thing is, we are already moving towards other planets. They're exploring Mars and different places.
Yeah.
And the main thing that I think is really really there, and that's, you go back to Chernobyl when the radiation exploded. And if you're a human, you still have to go in wearing the gear. You're only in there for 15 minutes and you have to get out, but you've got to wear the full protective gear. Now, the animals there are still living. The animals are still multiplying and prospering. And the animals there, some of them have lost their colour, they're pure white. Some of them have got funny looking ears, or they've got an eye missing. And they're putting this down to radiation, but these animals are flourishing and they are radioactive, but they've not died. So do we look at it that they're malformed because of the radiation, or do we look at it that they don't look the same because they're changing to live in that atmosphere? And I think that's what's going to happen to humans.
Okay. That was weird there when you mentioned Chernobyl. I got this really sharp pain here, and I've heard a rumour that people with certain conditions like fibromyalgia, which I've got, might have been caused by Chernobyl, the Chernobyl disaster. Now, there's several of my friends in Ayr, in that area, who have it as well as myself. And we were all at school together. Or one of them was at another school, but still in Ayr. And what we've been told, again, it's probably just a guess, is that after the disaster, the rain clouds that moved across, and when it rained, they rained in that Ayrshire coast area, and probably other places too. But it's just that we've noticed this connection, and we're thinking, why is there a connection? Why do we all have this, or have some kind of issue where we find like it's difficult to walk, and we're only in our late 40s? That we're walking like a 90-year-old, and you think, what's that? But just when you said that, I just got this sharp stabbing pain in my shoulder, and I've never had that before.
Oh, wow.
I've never had anything like that before.
But you see, you talk about the rain cloud and that, and it is damaging. I mean, some of us can withstand more things than others, and I think if you are more susceptible to things, then you're more than likely to have an ailment from it.
Yeah.
It is the same with some of the injections from long ago that children ended up being autistic or whatever. We're all different and we all react in different ways.
Yeah.
But then, although it's like the blight of your life, having this, it's also made you a very strong and understanding person.
Yeah, there is that.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at your art anyway. As I say, I've got a book here with some of your incredible. That's in the front there. That's the front page there. It's just beautiful, and it's full of. There's lots of different animals, and you know that I'm an animally person. I love them. They're very sort of strange creatures we've got, and you can see I think there's a rabbit there, and there's a couple of birds.
Yeah.
As well.
That's how they come.
That's what?
That's how they come. They're just weird.
Very sort of. There's a tribal look about them as well. There's a snake there. So I mean, when you're seeing these images, they're very like animals on Earth.
Yeah, well, when we go on about my new planetary animal cards are combinations of different animals, which is happening at the moment. There's lots of uninhabitable planets out there. So as we're evolving and changing, so the animals are, like I said, they're already changing on Earth to adapt to the planetary changes going on. But the drawings I got were combinations of different animals put together, and what's happening is the best thing of each animal is being put together as a whole. Say like you get an elephant, and an elephant is really strong, so that would enhance an animal that had to go on a planet and really work to live there. So that would come in with something else, say like maybe a horse.
Okay.
Because a horse has more of I don't know a lot about horses, but horses are more of a human side of thinking. Horses recognize so many different things. So you would get the strength and you get like the intuition, which would make a super animal. So you get a bit of both.
So it's
if they were put on a planet where the food wasn't very plentiful or something, they would have the strength. This is just experimental at the time, at this moment,
right?
To try and achieve to renew a lot of the planets.
Okay, I love these the animal pictures though, and then later on we've got the being.
Sorry, I've lost your sound.
Oh, have you? Everything's working here.
I've lost your sound.
Okay.
No.
Shall I? What will
I?
Hello.
Lost your sound. I don't know where you went, but
Am I back?
Yeah, we went off on another planet, I think.
I think so. I don't know what happened there. Yeah, so I was just going to talk about these other beings. Look at that one there. There's a woman or lady and a seal. It looks like a seal there.
Yeah.
Love seals. I think they're very special animals too.
Oh, yeah. When I came up to Scotland last week, we went to the seal sanctuary.
Okay. What was that like?
Oh, amazing. But when you see images like that with a human, a seal or whatever, it's just to give the message across that we're all one. It doesn't matter what you look like or what image you come across as. We're all one. We're all little souls in different forms. And
I think there's also gods and goddesses in here too.
Yeah.
So E.T. has, as well as physical beings, they have gods and goddesses.
They're like the same sort of thing as like we've had with the older civilizations, and this is where a lot of the knowledge that we're renewing comes from. It's from ETs that have been there forever, basically.
Okay, beautiful. Do you have any art there that you want to show us?
I was going to show you this weird animal, this one.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
I don't know what he is.
You don't know? Well, he's got a horn there at the front, it looks like. Is it? Like a...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you see, let me show you some more. I just picked a few out, actually.
Okay.
This is... that's another one.
Oh, that's beautiful. It's quite oriental as well. The faces are quite oriental, like, you know.
I
Yeah.
have had ETs, and other people have reported seeing those that are quite oriental looking.
Mhm.
And there's another.
Oh wow, oh, that's beautiful. That is so beautiful and colourful. Do you know, I really want to get a tattoo of one of your drawings.
Everybody says that.
Has anyone actually done it?
I don't think so.
No. Right. I'm going to get one on my shoulder. I promise. I promise you I'm going to do that. I'm really surprised that nobody has already.
That's a different animal.
Yeah, what is that?
Well,
What is that,
you
do you
see
think?
the writing underneath. I
Yeah.
get strange writing.
Yes, I saw that. It's lovely as
Well,
well, but to interpret it, you know.
yeah. So the writing underneath there, because when I first got the strange writing, I thought, what's the point in having this? I don't know what it means.
Mm-hmm.
So then I thought, well, the communication's there, they're communicating to me, so I can communicate to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked them if they'd put it in my own language so I could understand what they were saying.
Mm-hmm.
And it went on for a few weeks, and they kept saying that they didn't know the words and they found it really difficult. But anyway, it's perfect now. Apart from sometimes they refuse to tell me because I'm not allowed to know.
Right.
But this
So
guy
what
here,
does that have an interpretation underneath it?
yeah, so I can ask a question. So I write question, any information about him. And then the answer was, this animal lives from the airspace in the horizon on the far left of the cordial landscape. You can't always understand it all. He has
Lost in
many,
translation, yeah.
yeah, he has many peculiar, he has many predators, but is very fast and also a master of disguise.
Okay.
So he has not it's not yet been identified. So I said, how do you know that then? And it said it's beamed to us on a beams of information stratospheres. So you get loads of stuff that likes great big long words that you haven't got a clue, but it sounds very intelligent.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that must be wonderful though. That must be wonderful.
I love it.
Yeah.
And you know, you can have a really rough day and things are not gone right. And you pick your pen up and start doing it, and it completely takes you away. I mean, I do it mainly at night when I'm watching TV, or I can be having a conversation and drawing. So,
Really?
well,
So
yeah, because
so
I
you're
don't.
watching TV and just blah blah
It's
blah and
your
you're
brain, isn't it? You connecting with your brain that you use anyway. But this clear space is a clear channel. This is why I say to people, just have a go. Don't just pick your pen up left-handed and think, oh, I'll have a go at that. I always say, when your universal phone rings, pick it up.
mm-hmm.
Which is like, I had a lady, and she was in our circle, but she suffered really badly from depression. And she said, I get so locked into things sometimes. She said that I find it really hard to get myself back on track. So I said to her, well, have a go drawing with your other hand. And she went away, and she said, I've never thought of doing that. And I never saw her for 6 weeks. And then when she came back, she said, that's the most amazing healing thing I've done. She said, because when the depression comes, she said, I have no control. Mm-hmm. She says, and that just gives me freedom. She said, because I just let it go. And now she does some amazing paintings and things.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I just let the images emerge when I did it, and what came through was an angel.
See, you
Um,
connected
Or
already.
yeah, or at least you know, it's difficult to know, I think, whether something is an angel or an alien being.
Well,
You know.
go through on how the energy feels.
Mhm.
When people say, well, how do you know, if a spirit person comes in and you give a message and you say, you got this message, and they'll say, well, who is it? Because you don't always get a name or know who the person is. You just know who you got to give it to.
Yeah.
And I always say, well, read the message again, write it down, read the message. Who comes first in your mind when you read it? And they always know.
Mhm.
So whether if you think you connected to an angel, then you did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really
Fascinating stuff.
interesting.
Fascinating stuff. I think, did you say that you'd come to Fife and you did a workshop in Scotland?
Yeah, I did. It's a couple of years back now, but I've got quite a few friends in Scotland because my daughter lives in Edinburgh as well.
Ah, right. Okay.
So they said to me, why don't you do a workshop? So I said, I've never done one. So they begged me to do one. So I went there and I did one. And basically what we did, it was a whole day course, but what we did in the morning was just connect to energies so people can feel. I always explain it like when you're in a queue, if you're waiting in a queue for something and somebody stands quite close behind you, you don't actually see them physically, but you know that somebody's there because you feel the energy from them. And this is how you connect to the ETs, because the energies come in and you can pick them up. So in the morning, what we did, we talked about energies, and I did 2 rows of seats back to back and just got people to sit without knowing who was sitting behind them.
Right.
And then they all had paper and pen, and I gave them 15 minutes to pick stuff up of the person behind them. And then at the end of that, to stand up and say what they'd picked up. And all of them had picked up true stuff. All of them had picked up, and they didn't even know who sat behind them. But this was the whole key, like for when stuff comes in, to be aware and just pick up and just go with it.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that in the morning, then we had a break. We did a bit of a meditation to get us back on track. And then in the afternoon, I've got some cards that have all got different planets on. I didn't make them or anything, I just bought them, but they've all got different planets on. So turn them over, pick a planet, concentrate on the planet, and then just go with your left hand and see what you get.
Mm-hmm.
And loads of people picked up stuff. It was a really good day.
It's a brilliant. I think I might do that with my divination class.
Oh,
But
you'd
it's not.
find it
Sorry, it's
really
not a class. It's more. It's a circle. It's not. It's not actually me teaching anyone, but we get together a
but
couple of times.
there's another thing you can do, and me and my daughter do this quite regular, but it's to get a piece of paper, right? Write 6 or 8 things down that you think may happen next year. Say, this is going to happen in the year 2022. Pull that paper away, get it out in 2022 and see how many things happen. You'd be amazing how many things you pick up on.
I'll give that a go. That
That's
sounds
another
good.
thing.
Yeah.
And another thing is as well, when I do a talk, I'll say, how many people do psychic art? And about 4 will put the hand up. What they don't realise is we all do psychic art. We all scribble when we're on the phone because we're picking the energies up.
Yeah.
So I did, I went to this fair, and the lady who was supposed to be doing something didn't turn up. So they said to me, would you do something, Faye? Because like we're in a mess. So I said, yeah, okay. So I had people on the stage, and all they did was scribble while I was talking. I said, I don't want you to talk to each other. Just listen while I'm talking and just scribble like you do when you're on the phone. And they all did different drawings. Some just did circles or whatever. And I said, right, I want you to pass it to the person next to you. And the person next to you pass you hers over. They did that. I said, right, now read the lines and tell me what you've picked up. And they did readings on each other's scribbling, and they were spot on.
Wow.
So but I'm telling you this because this just tells you how good we are at picking energies up.
Yeah.
So once you go into the ET realm or the angel realm or whatever, we're so good at recognizing and picking it up. And it's like I said, the more you do it, the more it just becomes normal because it's built in us, you know.
Fascinating. Faye, thank you so much for joining me on this special edition of ADX Files. And well, good luck for your future artwork.
Thank you.
I also got people should know you've got your book, which I think you brought out in 2019.
Yeah, it's on that. You can get it on Amazon, but I've got a website. It's called www.galacticart.co.uk. And if you go on Facebook, I have a page called ET Connections. And anybody who wants to read about experiences or ETs or anything, I'll put stuff on there for them. So
brilliant. And I got from your website, I got these fabulous.
They're some of my first drawings.
They're gorgeous. They're absolutely gorgeous. I'm telling you, definitely going to get a tattoo with something. I'm not sure what. She's lovely. Delord, God of Fun.
Oh, yeah.
Fun in your life. I like that one. Lovely. Beautiful cards. So thank you again for joining me this week. But unfortunately, that is us at the end of.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
Good. So that's a wrap, basically. And I don't know if I'll do any more of these. The video ones, that was just primarily to a little bit of a change to let artists show their work. And I know several artists who do cards, spiritual cards or tarot cards that people can, get online. So anyway, I'm going to head off, and again, thank you once again, Faye.
Thank you, Alison.
It's been lovely talking to you. I hope.
Please keep in touch.
I will do. I hope if you're ever in Glasgow, give me a bell.
I will do.
We'll meet up for a coffee or something.
Lovely.
Okay, you take care now.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.
Bye.